Let's do it. Welcome to another edition of The Script, a podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. His real name is Cardale Jones. His nickname is Beanie Wells. My name is Dave Holmes. A lot to get to today. We're going to break down the world of college football, but we start West Coast, guys. First road game of the season for the undefeated Ohio State Buckeyes against another undefeated team in the Washington Huskies. So let's just talk general road vibes first off, guys. I mean, going on the road, West Coast, first time, what is that like as a player?
You know, it's always a fun experience, but it's always tough in terms of playing a game because anytime you're traveling across the country, you got to deal with the time change. You got to deal with the adjustment, whether you leave a day early. And sometimes those situations turn into a little bit of a vacation. So you have to be mentally prepared for a situation where you're traveling across country. But nonetheless, I remember, going to Seattle when I was there in 2007. And, it was a great experience. We actually won the game, but it was one of the louder stadiums I had ever been a part of. Definitely a tough environment to play in.
Yeah, normally, Cardale, the Buckeyes go out on Friday. They normally arrive at the team hotel around dinner. We don't have the finalized schedule yet. There's been discussion they might go out Thursday this week. So just your thoughts on going on the road for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, a few things that going on the road, especially across the country, because that present his own other obstacles when you talk about being mentally prepared and trying to have your guys as ready as possible to get ready and play a big game. Coach Mick used to say a few things you need to bring when you talk about going on a road game, especially a Big Ten opponent, not just any Big Ten opponent, an opponent that looked really good last weekend and also is undefeated just like you. You need to pack your tough guy gutchies, if you know what gutchies are, your defense and your run game to really be successful on the road. And they're going to need to bring all three of those things when you're going across the country playing a really good team like Washington.
You hit it, Beanie, because you're one of the few Buckeyes out there who've actually played at Washington. Once upon a time, this was a Pac-10 matchup if you're super old, Pac-12 matchup if you're a little younger. But you're one of the few guys who's been there, all right? So I was actually at Washington back in 2004. I toured the campus. It was when I was on my reality show. I did a story there. And I always said I wanted to watch a game there because I've heard it's unreal. They park the boats right there on the water. You can walk in. Every list, if you Google top venues in college football, Washington makes the top 10. So as someone who played there, what was it like that day?
It's a great stadium, but it's loud as hell. I mean, they got that like aluminum awning right over.
Yeah.
So whatever.
It's holding all that noise.
It's holding all the noise. It's echoing. The fans are right on top of you, but it's beautiful in terms of the views because it's right off the water. I mean, it's a place to play and a treat to go if you're a fan and you want to go see a game and you want to go particularly see this game. I would take the trip out to Seattle to go see it. Seattle has a lot to offer, but in terms of top tier stadiums and experiences, Washington is most certainly one of them.
And you always think, momentum. I think fans think of the crowd. Oh, we get excited because it's loud. But Cardale, you're the quarterback. Crowd noise means everything to the quarterback.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we saw it all week with other games around the country. Not Arkansas, was Auburn and OU was a game. We saw a lot of false starts and things like that. And the quarterback is trying to get on cadence with your offensive line and guys are just jumping all over the place. So going into a stadium like that, and Ohio State's going to probably have the crowd noise pumping all week in practice, trying to get these guys accustomed to it. You got to remember, they're still young in key positions, right? We're going to talk about the quarterback position, but we already talked about things on the road. You got to bring your defense and your running game. Well, it looks like, one of the running backs is who's going to probably start to continue to show stardom in this game is a freshman running back in Bo Jackson. How is that crowd noise going to affect him, not just in the run game, but in pass protection, making sure his keys is on point and being in communication with the five guys in front. So you have so many different factors that the crowd noise can really intimidate and affect on the offensive side of the ball.
I don't know what kind of gutchies Julian Sayin's packing, but all right, so you have Julian Sayin making his first road start, Beanie. I mean, this is not ideal. I mean, you'd like your first road start maybe to be at Northwestern or Rutgers or Maryland. This is a tough one to ask him to go out there for the first time.
No doubt about it. And when you look at Washington as a football team, they're very good. They're well coached. The thing that I think we have in our favor is their offense is much better than their defense. So for Julian Sayin, I don't think it'll be as crazy. Obviously, you're going in a tougher environment and you're playing a well-coached team. But in terms of playmakers on the defensive side of the ball, I don't think he'll face the playmakers that he saw versus Texas. I think Texas defense is better than Washington. But nonetheless, anytime you're traveling across the country in a tough place, it's going to be hard. And this is his first road test. This is his first opportunity as a young starting quarterback going on the road and seeing, how it is to have all the fans against you, all the players against you, and see how he deals with that type of pressure.
When you took over, Cardale, you didn't take over on the road per se, but you took over 3 neutral site games. They were all away from the shoe. I would argue the Sugar Bowl was a road game.
A road game. That's what I said. No, it was one road game.
That was a road game. So what's the key for a young quarterback when he goes on the road for the first time?
Staying confident. I think that's the biggest thing. And I think that can go into home or road games, but trying to eliminate mistakes, especially on a road game. I feel like a turnover is 10 times more critical because of the noise and then, potentially putting your defense in a really bad position. Beanie hit the nail on the head. Washington offense is a lot better than their defense. But over the last 2 weeks, prior to the bye week, we have seen Julian turn it over through 2 lesser opponents, right? But thank God, overall, the team were lesser opponents. Now, if we put our defense in a bad position now versus this Washington team led by Williams Jr. at quarterback, this can present some different obstacles for us and potentially put us in holes that's going to be more difficult to climb out of. So protecting the ball will be always number one on my list when you're going into any environment for a young or veteran quarterback. But I think it's going to be emphasized this week.
Okay, you brought him up. Damon Williams Jr., their quarterback. So last year, Washington's quarterback played behind Will Rogers, but he did get in some in certain packages and looked good. He didn't even turn it over last year as a freshman. This year, he's been ultra protective. I believe 0 interceptions so far. The schedule, though, they've beaten Colorado State, UC Davis, and a below-average Washington State school. So what do we know about Damon Williams Jr., Cardale? Looks to be a dual threat. I mean, he can do it all.
Certified dual threat. A bona fide playmaker, had more touchdowns and incompletion this past week. And like you said, he can get it done on the ground as well. I think he led them second in rushing yards last week versus Washington State. Yes, Washington State is down, right? I mean, for the past 2 years, they lost 2 top Heisman candidate type of quarterbacks and trying to still refill those shoes. But when you have a rivalry, not just any rivalry, in-state rivalry, the Apple Cup, you're going to get their best shot. And they really gave Washington a run for their money until Washington really poured away from them and pulled away from them in the fourth quarter. So I think they played a really good quality team, and Williams was still spectacular. This is going to be the best quarterback Ohio State have faced all year, including Arch Manning, who's playing right now at a high level. And I think Big Ten just came out. He got Big Ten Player of the Week. And he's a really good player. So Ohio State defense is going to have their hands filled, not just with him, but all the other playmakers on the side of the ball because they have a running back that's sought out to be the best running back in the Big Ten.
Oh, what are you producing the show now? We're doing segues? All right, so let's talk about that running back. You're talking about Jonah Coleman. So, Beanie, 10 touchdowns in just 3 games. You take that, right?
100%.
3 1/3 touchdowns a game?
One of the games he had 5 touchdowns in, and you can sit there and say, well, it was versus UC Davis. I don't care who it's against. If you get 5 touchdowns in a game, that's a crazy feat. I done played against the Kent States of the world and still didn't get 5 touchdowns versus them. Shots fired.
Shots fired.
No, but Jonah Coleman is the real deal. Like, he's a tank. He's like, 5'10", probably 225 pounds. Just a thick dude. And I got a chance to talk to Scotty Graham, who's the running back coach there and a former Buckeye, 2 days ago. He was like, but I've been coaching this kid since high school. So he is the real deal. A cerebral football player, not just running back. Very smart, somebody you have to worry about for. And he also mentioned the mere fact that teams have to worry about Damon Williams in the run game helps Coleman so much. You got a quarterback that's a +1 in the run. That takes some eyes away from just honing in and pitting so many guys in the box because he can pull it around the edge at any given moment. So this is going to be a tall task for Ohio State on the defensive side of the ball. We think we have a very good defense and one of the best in the country. This is going to be a telltale for us.
So if you are listening to the show for the first time, you think, man, these guys are scared of Washington.
Well, no.
Well, no, not scared of Washington, but respect for Washington. And everyone else feels the same way because this line opened at 13.5. It's down to 8 on Prime Sportsbook right now. So the public is all over Washington in keeping this close. Cardale, are you in on that? Is this being a single-digit close scare kind of a game for the Buckeyes?
I wouldn't say scare. When you talk about a scare game, you talk about playing a opponent that you're just so much better than. I think Ohio State is the best team going into this game, but I don't think they're that much better than Washington. And I think Washington is going to have a +1 with Ohio State coming on the road, not just any road game, first road game. And then in an environment like Beanie just mentioned, Washington has always been a stadium on my bucket list to get to. Unfortunately, I can't get there this weekend, but Washington has that +1 in that type of situation where Ohio State has to prepare for more going on the road. But Washington, this is Ohio State versus Washington. Everybody know every week you're going to get their best swing when you're playing against Ohio State. So I can see why the line is moving the way it's moving because there's so many factors where, people can see Washington coming out victorious.
Okay, Beanie, what do you think's more likely? The Buckeyes win by field goal or they win by 20? What would be your read? A close
More
game?
likely, I wouldn't say a field goal type close, but I'd say 7 points type close. I mean, I think it will be indeed closer than people anticipate. Just because Washington has a good offense. They can score points. Now, we got a very good defense, so that's going to be the deciding factor right there, how our defense shows up to this football game. And as of what we've seen, our defense has packed your tough guy Gutchies, but it's been at home. So we'll have to see how it fares on the road.
Yeah, and those games were at home, like you said, Beanie, and that's the one thing about this. They had a really good game against OU, but the one missed tackle went for 60-plus yards. You can't do that against Jonah Coleman or against Damon Williams Jr. You're going to get burned way more. All right, so that breaks down the Buckeyes and the Huskies. Let's talk a little bit about what else is going on in the Big Ten world. We'll hit more college football later in the show. But Indiana, 63, Illinois, 10. All three of us thought Illinois could contend in this game, if not win it. They lose by 53 points. They drop all the way from 9th to 23rd. Cardale, what do you make of Illinois getting throttled by Indiana?
I've never questioned my ability to evaluate games as hard as I did watching that game Saturday.
When I said I was on Illinois, we should have known.
Oh, exactly.
That was a dead giveaway.
I was like, what? How is an Illinois favorite in this game by far? And I mean, line was plus 6.5. I mean, in my defense, the bettors were wrong too about putting the line so low. I mean, losing by 53 points. As it's considered a top 10. I mean, I was so shocked. But right after the game, I did say they need to fall out the top 20. They looked horrible. And, they're at 23 right now. But I didn't see this coming from a mile away.
Did we learn more about Indiana or Illinois, Beanie?
I thought we learned more about Indiana. Indiana's the real deal. I mean, in coming in, I thought that, they just hadn't played anybody. They had put up big numbers. And you look at Fernando Mendoza's numbers, and he was completing like 74% of his passes. They hadn't played anybody, so I thought they were just front runners. But to come in and knock the number 9 team around like they did, they're real. They're for real in the Big Ten. And then when you look at Indiana's schedule through the rest of the Big Ten, they don't have a crazy gauntlet to go through. So they got one of the easier roads to getting back to the college football playoff. But Fernando Mendoza, legit. Elijah Sherratt, the receiver, legit. Omar Cooper Jr., the receiver, legit. Then they got a 3-headed monster at running back that they can really throw at you. And, after the game, you heard Kirk Cinetti say, we don't talk much. Well, Kirk, he had all the headlines last season. So maybe he learned his lesson and just going out and playing crazy good football right now with his football teams. But they're real. I couldn't believe it.
They're going back to the playoff. I don't see a way they don't make it back to the playoff. 2 teams we also expect to make it, Oregon and Penn State, meet this week in Happy Valley under the lights. All right, guys, give me your thoughts here on this top 5 match.
Well, one team averaging over 40 points a game. Another one's averaging close to 55 points a game. And both defenses giving up less than a touchdown a game on average. This is their both first real test. Oregon got to come across the country and, have that rematch of the Big Ten championship game this past year. It's going to be a tough one. I have no feel for this game yet because neither team has been tested like they're going to be tested this upcoming weekend. With Oregon, you look at everything they can do on offense with more than the defense is playing really good. I can't still believe that. When I think about Oregon, I think about their defense first before the playmakers on offense. And then Penn State as well, playing great defense and subpar offense, even though they averaged over 40 points a game. But look at the opponents, right? Should be really averaging probably 60 to 70 points a game going through the first 3 weeks of the season. But you can't count out that defense. And then Drew Aller finds a way every time to really show those sparks of what we all thought he was going to be, and he's continued to grow into that role. But I just don't know if they have as many playmakers as needed on the offensive side of the ball outside of their 2-headed monster in their run game to really go toe-for-toe with Oregon and the star power they have on offense.
I'm with you. I think in order for Penn State to have an opportunity in this game to win it, it's going to be behind their offensive line and their run game. Drew Aller, obviously, he got some playmakers out there and Trevor Penny and the other guy that transferred from SC, but nonetheless, hitting those guys on a consistent basis, I just don't see it because we haven't seen Drew Aller in big games step up consistently enough to get them over the hump. So I believe it's going to be defense and a tough run game for James Franklin and those guys to try to win this game.
Yeah, my gut says Penn State, big game like this, under the lights, you want to take them. But they're 4-point favorites on Prime Sportsbook. James Franklin in a big game. I kind of like the Ducks to keep it close. I don't know.
Yeah, and his track record in big games isn't the greatest. I know last year he kind of got over the hump a little.
He did in the playoff.
Yeah, but I mean, I kind of
the playoff. The bracket was friendly.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they had a very favorable track to get to the national championship game.
Yeah.
But when you look at tight lines like this, especially with two good teams, it usually come down with. I mean, that's pretty much a one possession game, right? One score game. It usually come down to the run game. And usually those lines usually come down to the run game. Usually the team who's most efficient in the run game usually pull away and can secure those type of wins. So I don't know. It's going to be a tough one. I have no feel for this game yet.
Yeah, the other game I'm looking forward to is USC on the road against Illinois, because this is major bounce back city for Illinois. It's gut check time. And if there is a dark horse team to make the playoff in the Big Ten, it's USC. It's a team that seems to be ascending. Maybe Lincoln Riley's got it going on. He got a good transfer running back. He thinks he has a solid quarterback there. So your guys' thoughts on USC, Illinois?
I like this game. Is USC ranked yet?
Yes.
Okay, there should be a little bit ahead of
25th or 24th. Yeah, they're right.
So they're one of those teams climbing into the rankings, scratching and clawing to get back to relevance this year because they lost so much in the transfer portal last season. But Illinois right now, I think teams are going to smell blood in the water. They're going to look at the game versus Indiana and say, we can attack and exploit these moments or these specific position groups for them. So I see Lincoln Riley and his football team lighten it up again.
There's blood in the water. There's blood on the jerseys. There's blood on
everywhere.
After last week, there's blood everywhere, man.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because I thought Brett Belma, I still think he's a great coach, but I thought he would have his team more prepared last week. But they're going to have an opportunity to kind of right the ship. I just don't see it happening this weekend.
Yeah, I don't think it happened this weekend. I think USC is playing really good right now.
Yeah.
And going into the season, I think I already said they had a favorable schedule to be a dark horse in the Big Ten. Them and another team we're not going to talk about until later, Maryland. I think they got some favorable schedules. If you win out or if you even drop one, that you still can be considered for a college football playoff spot, that kind of the maybe 10 to 12 spot. But yeah, I don't think Illinois, you need a major bounce back game, but I don't think it happened this weekend.
Yeah. Well, we got plenty more to talk about here on The Script, the podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Coming up next, trouble for a former Buckeye. We're going to diagnose what can be done with the Wisconsin Badgers and Luke Fickell. Stay with us. Breakfast might be the most important choice you make all day. That's because with Wendy's 2 for $3 breakfast, you can mix and match your very own favorite perfect pairing of our delicious morning favorites.
With this breakfast deal, the choice is all yours, not someone else's. Isn't that how breakfast should be? It's your breakfast after all, not Martha's. She can pick her own breakfast. This one is all on you.
No matter what you choose, from our sausage biscuit with that grilled breakfast sausage or the egg and cheese biscuit with freshly cracked grade A egg and melty American cheese on a fluffy buttermilk biscuit, a small size of perfectly seasoned potatoes, or a medium hot coffee to power you through the morning.
All you got to do is pick your favorite ideal morning pair. You really can't lose because you're the one calling the shots. The choice is all yours. Wake up to Wendy's 2 for $3 breakfast just the way you want.
Limited time only during breakfast hours. U.S. prices and participation may vary. No substitutions, not valid in the combo, single item at regular price.
Welcome back to The Script, the podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Make sure you click the subscribe button right now if you're watching the video version on YouTube. Hope you are, or follow us on Spotify, Apple Pods, wherever you get your podcast, at The Script OSU on social. Time now, guys, for our Dr. Pepper look around college football. Let's start with Syracuse laying a beat down at Clemson, 34-21, the final. It actually wasn't even that close. I watched all four quarters of this. I mean, it was domination. So, Cardale, you tweeted something, a little bit of a troll job on Twitter, which I like that you tend to do.
That's what I do.
Yeah, it's what you do. You basically pointed out that since the Sugar Bowl loss to the Buckeyes, Clemson has lost 3 games, 4 games, 4 games, and now they're 1-3. So we joked last week that the Buckeyes broke Clemson, but what are your thoughts now on where they head? Because it looks like a disaster for the Tigers.
About 3 weeks ago, I said that loss 2 weeks ago, that loss to Georgia Tech for Clemson has the feel of when Boston College went into Tallahassee last year and beat Florida State at night. Wow. And we saw what happened to Florida State the rest of the season.
Yeah.
A team you wasn't supposed to lose to. And honestly, the week before that, you should have lost to Troy. Troy had one more playmaker, you're 0-4.
Yep.
So those are the type of things that I look at when you're talking about a team going in the wrong direction. Fast forward after that loss, Dabo Swinney comes out and have a tantrum in his press conference about what you done leading up to this point. Well, unfortunately, this is a what have you done for me lately type of society, and especially college football. After that game as well, Clemson, he made comments after the tech. He made comments about wanting to be at Clemson, not buying into the NIL, not buying into the transfer portal, and all these other things, and really putting the onus on his team and saying, we got to fix this. 2 days later, Dabo come out with a temper tantrum. And this is the problem with that. When your leader of your program come out and say things like that,
go off.
That seeps into the locker room.
Hit the nail on the head.
That seeps into the locker room. So I'm starting to, he making an excuse. Oh, well, yeah, coach may be right.
Right.
What happened after the Clemson game? After the Syracuse game? Clay Cubman started to make excuses right in the media. Oh, we start running fast. We start playing fast, but they start acting like they was hurt. I don't know. So the excuses. I've never seen that kid do that.
No. So if you guys don't know what Cardale's referencing, so Cade Klubnik, basically, they want to run up tempo against Syracuse. And in the post game, he wasn't even asked about it. He brings it up on his own. And he goes, well, we were running tempo, feeling pretty good. And then they, maybe had an injury. Maybe they were faking. It's up to them if they want to be honest about it. Basically accuses Syracuse of faking injuries. It's like, buddy, they could have laid down and played dead, and you guys weren't going to beat
Exactly.
It was not a one-score game, bud.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating part about it, because that's so out of character for him. Yes. But is that the new character of this Clemson football program because of the comments of Dabo Swinney?
Because
Dabo has always been a controversial type of person in the media when it comes to some of the things he would say, but in a good way, though. But making excuses and then putting the ice on the cake, they want to get rid of me. I'm just going to go somewhere else and win. What I don't look like you can win anywhere at this point.
Well, so, okay, and Beanie, let's get your thoughts on this, because earlier in the week, what Cardale's referencing, basically, Dabo went up there and said, look at my record, look what I've done, look at where I've taken us, which is all true, buddy, but it's been 5 years, a half a decade, and the thing is, they're paying you $10+ million, not for what you did, for the job you're doing right now. And if I just stop showing up to work here, and I said, well, hey, I've shown up to work every day for years.
Right.
Well, but we still need you to show up to work and do your job, Beanie.
Like Cardale said, that's self-doubt that Dabo's speaking of, and that's what it is. Typically when you have coaches, they're not going to respond in the media about certain things like that, like Dabo was doing. So to me, it speaks to Dabo having self-doubt now about himself, what he's doing as a coach and his football team. That doubt is creeping into the locker room, because anytime you have a coach going viral for saying something, you better believe your players are hearing every bit of that,
of course,
without question. And, I don't know if you guys heard Nick Saban say it the other day, and I'm paraphrasing, but somewhere along the lines, he talked about, obviously, you've been successful, but sometimes you have to adapt with the times and look yourself in the mirror and say, what can I do to be better? Dabo's not doing that. Dabo's pounding his chest about what he did in the past.
He's not.
So he's not taking accountability, one, and then he's not evaluating his team and figuring out ways to get better. They got a good running back in Adam Randall. The last 2 weeks, versus Georgia Tech and versus Syracuse, they didn't get him going into the second half. The kid averaged 8 yards a carry last week, and you didn't get him going to the second half.
Who doesn't love 2nd and 2?
Exactly. Who doesn't love those situations?
But he want to live on the shoulder, let Klubnik throw the ball 60 times.
He's not that quarterback.
Yeah, he's not. I think he's a really good quarterback. He's one of the guys I had coming out as a preseason All-American and potential Heisman candidate. But dropping back and throwing the ball 60 times a game, I don't think that's him. I don't think there's any quarterback in college football right now, to be honest.
Yeah, well, let's continue our Dr. Pepper look around college football, and let's head south to South Beach. All right, so the Miami Hurricanes, I find this fascinating, guys, because most of the time the polls are in sync. There is a major disconnect. They're number 2 in the AP. They're 6th in the coaches. They're 8th in national championship odds. So people are all over the map if they think Miami is real or not. We saw them pound South Florida. We saw them beat Notre Dame in the opener. Last week, they beat a Florida team that we know is not Steve Spurrier's Florida Gators, but Cardale, Miami Hurricanes, number 2, number 6, number 8. Where would you fall on them right now?
They definitely a top 5 team in the country. 2, I don't put them at 2, but somewhere in the top 5. And I think you look at the Notre Dame game, that game could have went anyway, right? And then you look at the Florida game, in-state rival, but Florida isn't Florida that the Spurriers and the Urbans have coached. And then you look at South Florida, it's just like you beat up on your little brother. But Beanie made this point last week of putting more emphasis on potentially quality losses versus wins. Quality win versus Notre Dame, but Notre Dame easily could have won that game. But the rest of the wins is just, I think, a part of you roll your helmets out, I think you're going to win those games.
And I think when you go back and you look at the Miami-Florida game, to be honest, that game was much closer than the score indicated. when you go deep into the fourth quarter, that game was like a field goal, 7-point game. It wasn't until like 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter to where they stretched out.
Yeah.
If Florida had any competence of an offense, Miami would have lost that game.
That's the thing. That's the thing right there. Miami, you start to try to compare them to the top teams in the country, the complete teams who can play offense and defense, and then you don't know how they stack up. Miami can't beat Georgia.
No.
Not a chance. Nope. Miami can't beat Tennessee. Miami real test, unfortunately, is going to come later in the season to Florida State. And, we don't get that for quite some time now. So it's like, are there contenders or pretenders, right? I want to see a team that can potentially go shot for shot with them. And their offense versus this really good Florida defense don't look like they can go shot for shot with a team. I mean, they are gritty on the offensive side and the big guys up front, two really good running backs led by Mark Fletcher Jr. But when you're talking about potentially going to another 34, 38 type of game, I don't think they're matching up consistently with the top teams in the country who can play both sides of the ball.
All right, let's get your guys' take on the Michigan Wolverines. They go on the road. They beat Nebraska 30-27. I was the lone guy on set back in the summer that took their over at 8.5 wins. I still think they get to 9-3. I see my guys here starting to sweat a little bit now that they got that road win out of the way. You guys ready to jump on the blue bandwagon, or what are we doing here?
No, first of all, never.
I gotta look at their schedule. Who do we have the rest of the way?
I'm shocked. I am shocked to see them going to Lincoln, Nebraska, and beat my homeboy and them. But
yeah, first off, Dylan Raiola is like Patrick Mahomes, zero sugar. Like, stop. Stop with the antics.
I gotta stop.
Yeah.
I can only, oh my God. I can only imagine if he would have stayed committed to the Buckeyes. It would have been tough. It would have been tough to see that every week of the antics. But nevertheless, he is a really good player. I had Nebraska winning this game, and Nebraska wanted to take that jump. I think they're 0-23 the last 23 ranked matchups. You can't be considered a powerhouse. And the same thing, what have you done for me lately? You can't hang your hat on the national championships that you guys used to get assigned to when people used to vote. Okay, they're the national champs versus what have you done for me lately type of environment. So I am heartbroken because I had Michigan losing one of the games. That's why I took the under and they won.
Beanie's either texting while podcasting or he's looking at Michigan's schedule.
I'm looking at Michigan's schedule and I'm looking at, the stats of the last game. So their schedule lines up. They got Wisconsin, which probably is winnable. USC, which is probably going to be a tough game.
That's scary.
Washington, which we'll know more about Washington after this weekend and they play Ohio State. But to this point right now, I think that'd be a competitive game. Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern, Maryland, who's very good.
We'll see.
So there's a couple of games on there that can give you a little question mark. But, I mean, when you look at it and you're talking about over 8 games, you might want to sit there and change it.
Cardale's smirking. Cardale knows.
We might want to sit there and change our stance.
I cannot wait until after this weekend to cheer so hard for the Huskies. To beat Michigan later.
To the credit of Michigan in that football game, they did indeed sack Dylan Raiola, I think like 7 or 8 times on the defensive side. So they were very good. And they ran the ball well. It wasn't like their quarterback, Bryce Underwood, did anything exceptional outside of be the +1 in the run game. The rushing battle was 290 to 43 yards.
Wow.
So, I mean, they did not run the ball well at Nebraska at all.
They took Coach Mick's advice on the road. Tough guy guts, run game and defense.
Exactly.
That's what we wanted.
That's the formula. All right, one team you mentioned there was the Wisconsin Badgers. Time now for our Buckeye Basement Solution. If you need anything for your basement, I'm talking crack repair, waterproof, they've got you covered at Buckeye Basement Solutions. And every week we try to come up with a solution for a problem in the world of college football. And our guy Luke Fickell has a problem in Wisconsin because after they got pounded at home by Maryland 27-10, the crowd was chanting fire Fickell. And this week the athletic director came out, gave him a vote of confidence. I don't know if that's good or not, but Fickell right now in 2+ seasons is 15-15. Oof. Now, they're spending about $7.7 million to play 500 football. That's not going to sit well in Madison, Wisconsin. So, Cardale, I'll start with you. Your Buckeye Basement solution on how they fix things with Fickell in Wisconsin.
Get back to what the Wisconsin, I'm going to say, get back to Wakanda. Get back to
go to Wakanda, get some players.
Go to Wakanda and get you a running back.
Right.
Get back to what Wisconsin is known for. And the emphasis on Wisconsin, I mean, from the beginning of time, have been the big guys up front on both sides of the ball. The front 7 on defense and the 5 offensive linemen, and having a great running back that can get behind these guys and a quarterback to really just sail the ship, right? I think they trying to do a little bit too much out of character for them and traditionally who they've been as a program. I think, I mean, at this point, we saw that with Michigan, right? When guys like
Rich Rod
came in and Brady Holcomb came in and tried to spread everything out, try to do all this other stuff and dinks and dunks and all this. But you look at what Harbaugh was able to do and get back to the tradition rich of big guys up front, focusing on defense. We're going to ground and pound you. We're going to draw guys out, 3 tight ends with neck rolls and a fullback with a neck roll. What you think we about to do? So, and that's worked for them. You got to get back to tradition there.
Yeah. I'm with you 100%. And the thing is, you can still win that way. I know college football has gotten to this point to where we want to be cute. We want to score a bunch of points. We want to score style points. Style points don't matter anymore. That the way that college football is set up in terms of you can be the second best team in your conference and still have an opportunity, maybe even the third best team in your conference and still have a chance to get in to the college football playoff. You just need to win games. And right now, Wisconsin isn't winning games, but it's the way they're not winning games.
Yeah.
Wisconsin for so many years, they'd go, win 9 games, 10 games, and those would be good seasons. And in this point in time, in this day and age, those 9, 10 win seasons will have you having an opportunity to be in the conference championship and get into the playoff. They tried to hire Phil Logo a year ago. It didn't work. And it was just shocking to me that Wisconsin and Luke Fickell wanted to be an air raid team when that's not who they were.
Yeah.
Even Luke Fickell, he grew up in it. You grew up in an era of playing great defense and running the ball. And in the state of Wisconsin, they have the offensive linemen that just want to line it up. And there's not an offensive lineman in the country, especially when you talk about guys that are, 6'4" to 6'7", 320 pounds that wants to drop back 60 to 70% of the time in a football game. No, those guys want to be nasty in the run game. Do that and play good defense and you're back to normal.
Yeah, and your point is well made that 9-3 and 10-2 used to get you a statue for Barry Alvarez. And that's good enough now, Cardale, to like Beanie said, to maybe get you in the playoff. Old school Wisconsin might be good enough. And the other thing Beanie said, I think that's really astute there, is there's this perception in college football that you have to spread it out and score 40 points. But if you look at the last 10 years, who won national championships? Michigan won it by being gritty, hard-nosed. Georgia won it by building a team on defense. And then teams like Ohio State and Alabama, the Devontae Smith year especially, and Clemson, they've won it by kind of airing it out. Like, we've seen every style can work. Just be your style, Cardale.
Yeah,
like,
for
you
sure.
do you.
The thing you can't do, you can't let a team like Maryland, no offense to Maryland, come in and beat you the way they beat you on your home field. Win 10 games and you in consideration for the college football playoffs, or just continue. You can't go 15-15 over the last X amount of years. That's not going to cut it for major jobs in this league.
Yeah, and I love Fickell. Of course. I think he's a great coach. He was here when I was here, but I don't know what he's doing. But the crazy thing is, they gave him a contract extension after last season.
Yeah. So if you're wondering, his contract is through 2031, and if they wanted to buy him out, it's $25 million plus. That would be the second biggest buyout in NCAA history. The biggest one, of course, Jimbo Fisher's $75 million that our guy Ross Bjork paid out. So, it's expensive. So I think if you want a Buckeye basement solution, you probably need to fix this and not go outside of Luke Fickell. I think they can still get it done, but something's got to change. All right, coming up next year, our parlay picks. There's only one guy on set smiling right now. We'll let him, we'll let him brag a little bit. All right, we'll be right back.
For 60 years, Dr. Pepper has been bottled locally, bringing you that one-of-a-kind taste with 23 bold flavors. It's not just a soda, it's Dr. Pepper.
Craving something new? Try the new lineup from cherry to cream soda, and now introducing Dr. Pepper Blackberry, available in regular and zero sugar.
And students, don't miss your chance to win $100,000 in tuition through the Dr. Pepper tuition giveaway. Applications close September 30th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time.
Dr. Pepper, it's a pepper thing.
Welcome back to The Script, a podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Hit us up on social at The Script OSU. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube, you got to watch the video version. I promise it's fun. All right, time now for our Prime Sportsbook Parlay. You got to sign up on Prime Sportsbook for Prime Rewards. It's great. You make bets, you earn free bets. And guys, last week in our parlay, all right, Utah lost for me. That's no surprise. I'm losing every week at this point. I'm my school. Cardale has a tough loss with Nebraska. Beanie took UNLV over Miami of Ohio. This guy is absolutely dead to rights.
Hey.
Then the Runnin' Rebs score 17 unanswered in the fourth for him to sneak away. So Beanie is now 4-0 on the season. He's the last undefeated guy in set. You want to take a victory lap?
I definitely need to. I got to give credit where credit is due. The first 2 weeks, though, Cardale looked out for me. he had my picks, so I'm giving that. But the last 2 weeks have been all me, man.
The only credit you need to give is to God above for looking out for you. 17 unanswered. A friend of mine actually, he texted me. He goes, "Hey, this is such a funny bit on your show where you lose the parlay every week." I go, "Buddy, it's not a bit. I'm putting my real money out. Like, I'm not losing my money.
Not on purpose.
Yeah, this is not a bit. I'm trying to hit these games." So let's start with this week. Last week I started. That was bad luck. I'm going to mix up the draft order. Cardale, what's your pick this week?
I got Florida State at Virginia -7, according to Prime Sportsbook. Florida State's been playing really good. Virginia has not been playing really good, but they on the road coming up north. We'll see.
I got Notre Dame -4 over Arkansas. I love CJ Carr, the young quarterback. And then the two-headed monster they have in Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love are legit. Taylon Green, at the beginning of the season, the quarterback for Arkansas, was one of my Heisman dark horses, but he just turns the ball over too much right now.
Okay, I'm going to take Georgia -3 at home against Alabama. For me, this is a coin toss game as far as talent's concerned, so give me the home team. Gunnar Stockton seemed to find something in the last game when they put up 44 points against Tennessee. So I'm taking Georgia -3. All right, what scares you most about the other guys' picks? Is there anyone?
Because
Speak
one
now
guy,
if you're scared.
because one guy name is Dave Holmes. It scares me.
No, the Bulldogs, though, this ain't Saban's Bama. They're going to cover that 3. We talked earlier in the show about Penn State -4. That was an interesting game against Oregon. Let's transition, though, here to the world of pro football. All right, Cleveland Browns, Beanie. I'll tell you what. Yeah, go ahead and pat your chest
Yes.
if you're watching on YouTube. I have no idea how they won this game. They had no business.
Because they scored more points than other teams.
Oh, stop
That's
it.
how they won.
They got away with it. They absolutely got away with
I'm going to tell you why. Because the Cleveland Browns right now understand who they are in terms of what they do on offense. Yes, they got Joe Flacco who can chuck the ball downfield, but they also got a guy back in the fold the last couple of weeks. His name is Quinshon Judkins. Let's run the ball, play good defense. The defense has been unquestioned the part of Cleveland's team that's been the leadership group.
Yeah.
And we know how good they can be on defense. All you got to do is run the ball, keep it tight in the game. In the fourth quarter, allow Quinshon Judkins to lean on that other team, kick a field goal, you win the game.
Quinshon, by the way, the Packers have one of the best defenses in the NFL. And for Quinshon to go 18 carries, 94 yards, and a touchdown, when he's basically not even this is basically
5 real practices with this team.
This is kind of nuts, Cardale, to see Quinshon jump in like this and pick it up that quickly.
Man, and he's playing really good, and not just in the run game, but in the pass game as well.
Yeah.
He had a really good chip block on Michael Parsons that
man.
really put him down, that made Parsons like, listen, you know what? Now I'm coming for you.
Hey, you see Parsons
he's
point
pointing
at him.
him like, he's like, now I'm coming for you. And I'm like, oh, he's pointing at the running back. He must got a good chip shot on him. Then they show the replay, and it was a brutal one.
If Micah pointed at me, I'd be like, hey, coach, I need a quick breather.
I'm
out.
I got you.
Yeah.
Micah don't do shit in the run defense anyway, so I don't know why he's pointing.
Yeah, he's an edge rusher. He's an edge rusher.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Cleveland, they got the recipe to win. You know, that over-under, I think when it first came out was 4.5, according to Prime Sportsbook. But I was so anxious to jump on the over because I'm like, this defense alone to get you 5 wins. I didn't even look at the offensive side of the ball. I didn't even care. When you can stop the guy from scoring, you're going to put yourself in position offense, at least get some field goals. And that's what they did.
Yeah, this defense is really, really good. And Myles Garrett, he's getting to an advanced age by NFL standards, but still the best pass rusher in the NFL. All right.
You guys know Myles Garrett was mic'd up, right? So he rushed the passer, and the offensive lineman missed, and all you heard was, Jordan, run! Jordan, run! That was the craziest thing I saw. You got to look it up on Twitter. It's crazy as heck.
You're telling Jordan Love run for your life. Miles is coming to get you. That is
I'm
so
locked
funny.
into the game, trying to make it read, and I hear somebody run. Run to what? Oh, I'm dead now.
Yeah. Lying lifeless on the field. It's a real injury, not a fake one like Syracuse, apparently, according to Klubnik. All right, one other thing I want to talk about. CJ Stroud. 0-3 with the Houston Texans here. And this is interesting because last year I knew they threw a lot of the blame at Bobby Slovik's feet, their offensive coordinator. They bring in a new system this year, but I don't know, guys. I mean, CJ Stroud looked like a surefire trip to Canton after 1 year in the NFL. And now we've seen 1+ seasons of it not going so well. So what's your thoughts on CJ Stroud?
I think they got to be better in terms of, what they're doing offensively, the scheme that they're running. And then CJ isn't necessarily seeing the field to where he's getting the ball out of his hands quick. There's a lot of sacks that he's taking. There's a lot of pressure that he's taking. And I think a lot of it's been on him and him not getting the ball out of his hands. As a quarterback in the National Football League, you have 2.5 seconds to get your read and get the ball out. And he's just not doing it.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing about CJ, though. You look at his first year at Ohio State. Led them to some great wins, but his second year, I mean, it was night and day. I think he's going to take this as a challenge. 0-3 the first three games of the week and of the season. He's a competitor. Those guys on the offensive side of the ball are competitors, and I think he'd take this as a challenge to continue to get better.
And as much as CJ's been struggling by his standards, he still did win a playoff game his first 2 years in the NFL. And if you look at the list of guys who did that as a rookie and a second-year player, it is a very short list. It is a very short list of guys who are in Canton, Ohio. One other Buckeye note we didn't get earlier in the show, Angelo Smith, a 3-star safety in the class of 2027, has committed to the Buckeyes. And you're saying, Dave, why are we talking about 3-star safeties who are 2 years away? Well, the last name Smith, he is the brother of Jeremiah Smith. So we've seen this in other cases, guys, where we got a Bosa and a Bosa. Cardale, now we get a Smith and a Smith. So what do you think about keeping it in the family here with Jeremiah and Angelo?
That's pretty cool. We got a Styles and a Styles right now as well, even though Lorenzo didn't start here. I know he came from Notre Dame, but I mean, hopefully they can play together, the Smiths and the Smiths, in a perfect world, they, spend a year together.
Yeah.
But I highly doubt that.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
But
That's
I think
your job, buddy.
Yeah. But I think it's pretty cool because I think it speaks to not just the nature of the competitiveness of that Smith family, but I think how they are raised with the parents, right? I mean, how many households can say they have 2 Division I top athletes and siblings coming out their household? So it's clearly not just something they're doing right on the football field, but something they're doing right under their household.
Yeah, what do you think about this, Beanie? I mean, and it's also, I think, a thank you to the Smith family as well. I think it's goodwill also. He's a really good player. I'm not saying he's not good enough to play at Ohio State, but I'm saying it's also kind of with the Bosas is like once you're in and you think, I believe in this family, I believe in the pedigree.
Because you know what you're going to get.
Exactly. There's less risk there because you've already seen the work ethic of the big
Exactly. You know the work ethic. Like you say, you know the pedigree. But we got the same situation with, is it Marvin Harrison Jr.'s little brother coming to Ohio State as well?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have that. But nonetheless, I love it. I mean, if you're telling me we're getting a player that works like Jeremiah Smith, that comes from that same DNA, sign me up all day long.
Yeah, another one is a Stover and a Stover here.
Yeah. That's right.
So I think they're cousins. They're family.
They're family.
But you know what you're getting with that type of family and that type of dynamic. So, I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see if our prime sportsbook parlay hits this week. I mean, look, like I said, at the beginning of the year, you basically have to hit 3 all year to end up winning. We hit 1 week 1. We're due. We're due. He does have no faith in it. All right, reminder, you must be 21 and over to play. Odds subject to change. If you think you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Buckeyes on the road this week against the Huskies. We can't wait to go to Seattle, and we'll see you back here next week for another edition of The Script, a podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes.